that makes you instantly trustworthy. Here's what I learned about the sevenfold path from Tai Lopez 67-step program. And I thought I like these frameworks. Sometimes people learn things through different structures, different frameworks. And I always like to think that there are elements that are common, that are obvious across multiple different sort of teachers that talks about persuasion, sales, marketing. So I like to kind of hit on them all because eventually one of our kids are going to resonate with one of these frameworks. So we got to get better at teaching it and see what sticks. So, I mean, let's start at the highest level, right? And I always thought about what if you could persuade anyone, not by pushing, not by selling, but by simply becoming the obvious choice, right? This video is going to be for anyone that wants to build trust, right? If you want to attract support and move people to join your mission, to get them to take action, doesn't matter if you are building your brand, you're selling a vision, you're trying to get a yes from the right people to build some affordable housing, right? These are the seven signs that the world's best persuaders use. And I think once you master these, you won't be just be convincing, you're going to be undeniable. So here's why it matters, right? Because when you're starting out, especially if you're in real estate, in philanthropy, whatever that might be, you don't have the biggest resume. You probably don't have any portfolios. You probably might not have any testimonials, right? This is why a lot of people have a lot of imposter syndrome. So what do you do? Here's something you can work on right away. You can master how you communicate. Because when you're at the beginning, right, perception equals permission. Interesting, right? So let's talk about a sevenfold path. Let's talk about the seven different signs. Okay. Let's talk about the sign of energy. And before you say a word, people already feel you, right? We talk a lot about how people make snap judgments of you within milliseconds. So if you show up low energy and you're hunched over, right, or you're unsure, your message is gonna get ignored. Even if it's a great one, even if it's a noble one. But if you walk in with energy and you make eye contact and you have nice posture, you have this calm, authoritative vibe to you, people are gonna tune in, right? I always use the analogy of lemonade stand. Like you have two kids selling lemonade. One person's just whispering, the other one's smiling and says, "You got to try this. It's cold, it's sweet, and it's the best one on the block." Who do you think gets a sale, right? So your presence is your first pitch. So own your space, bring that shoulder back, take up space, be confident, because I'm sure you have a very powerful message to give and share. Number two, the sign of specificity, right? Vague people are forgettable, but with specific people, they are much more credible, right? So don't say we help people. I don't know how often you guys hear that word, we help people, but you can say, hey, we helped 98 families move into safe, affordable, decent housing last year. And we saved $11,000 per household in public costs, right? The same thing if you're describing anything else. Would you want to just buy cookies that says delicious? Or do you want to say, hey, this cookie is made with warm, gooey chocolate chunks, right? These gooey chocolate chunks mixed in with caramel swirls and was baked fresh at 3 a.m. this morning. When you provide specificity, that generally equals certainty, right? And if you're able to use numbers, right, names, locations, results, even one stat can kind of anchor your pitch. Now, don't overuse the stats because sometimes they might bore you and it makes you think that you don't have to tell a story when all you need is your stats, right? I think you got to think about your audience and figure out what personality type is that person based on the PACE framework that we talked about, PASE. Now, number three, this is a sign of social proof. People don't want to be the guinea pig, right? In general, they really don't want to be the guinea pig. They want to know who else has done this, right? Even the boldest decision makers They still scan for validation, right? Groupthink is real. When you use photos, testimonials, logos, or just quotes, or even probably the most important, most effective one is telling a real success story, right? Think about how you pick a restaurant. You look at reviews, right? In business, the same thing happens. People follow what others have said yes to. And when you highlight people like them, right? Whoever your target audience is who succeeded, that's what truly resonates. You need folks like them, whoever your ideal audience is that's suffering from the biggest problem that you are helping them solve. So let's talk about number 4, the sign of storytelling, right? A stat, a statistic can inform, but a story is what transforms. A stat can inform, a story transforms. The human brain remembers stories 22 times more than facts. I looked this random fact up, but why? Because we're wired for that narrative. If you think about what people used to pass down, they used to pass down stories, and that's how people educated others, right? You could say, hey, housing insecurity affects 3.5 million people every single year. Or you could just say, hey, last winter, Maria and her 4 kids were sleeping in their car. They just got kicked out after living room to room for years. Today, they just spent their first Christmas under a real roof. And she got the keys herself because she worked hard, she got a job, and she qualified for that home. And we helped make that happen with your help. Which one are you going to remember? I forgot the I forgot the number already. I forgot what it was. So when you use stories and you're able to share the conflict, right, the struggle, the transformation, the lesson, right, that hero's journey is really the heart's journey. Number 5, the sign of timing, right? Saying the right thing at the wrong time is going to be the wrong thing, no matter what. So don't pitch too soon. Don't ask for too much too early. Timing is about emotional pacing, right? No one proposes to get married on a first date. It doesn't matter how nice or beautiful the ring is, right? If you make the right move, even if it's the wrong moment, there's no deal, right? So start with empathy, right? Ask questions. Ask questions to connect. Ask questions to understand. Don't ask questions in a manipulative way that some sales guys are like, oh, if you can get 7 yeses, you're much more likely to get the sale. There's no scientific stat behind it, right? I watched Jeremy Lee Minor, and there's no stat behind that, right? Once people feel understood and seen, then guide them naturally towards whatever solution or action that you think they should take. Number 6, the sign of identity or identity resonance or tribalism, whatever it is, right? This is that persuasion on the same level as this person's soul. People usually buy into products, but they say yes to the people who reflect who they want to become, right? Speak to their identity. You might say that, hey, this program is for builders, right? And this is for those who want to leave a legacy. This is the hard thing that you want to do to be an example for your kids. That's all I think about. This is why I do this content because I love my kids so much that I want to be the best example for them. And here I am doing what I really, really hate, what I really am uncomfortable doing, but I do it because this is so much more important. We are leaving behind what we care about. We have to share with them what we learn every single day because this is going to help them make the impact that they want to make. And there's no, sometimes it's so sad when people have the best missions, the best cause, the most noble passion, but they can't communicate it. And that's such a tragedy, right? It's almost like when you put on a jersey, right? People support what represents their values, not just the features. right? When you use identity based language in your messaging, where it's sort of, hey, people like us do things like this. All right. Number seven, the sign of obviousness. Here's the paradox of persuasion: the best closers don't feel like closers, they just help you arrive at your own yes. It's not pushy, it's not salesy, it's just the next natural step. You want to say, hey, if we solve this, where should we go from here? And you just shut up, right? It's almost as if they are a great teacher, right? They don't yell the answer at you. They guide you so well so that you feel like you discovered yourself. And this is the perfect example of selflessness. There have been so many times in corporate America where we've been trained this way, where we have to take credit, because if we don't take credit, we don't get promoted. We don't get that raise that we're looking for. But if you want to be persuasive, that idea needs to make it or feel like it came from that person themselves, which means for you to be persuasive, to get someone on your side, that person has to feel like it's their choice, it's their idea. And that's what most people miss. Same concept of help others first without any expectation of return, right? But if they want to return the favor, then those are typically the people that you want to hang out with. Some people might call me a bad business person, but I like to just have my own tests, to be honest with you. See what type of people they are. Are they the type to share? Because if they're not the type to share when they're winning, they definitely are not going to be on your side when they're losing. All right. So simplify your message. Align with the person you're talking to. And ask yourself, hey, how do I make this decision feel inevitable? So you don't always have the loudest brand or the longest resume. If you master these seven signs and learn how to communicate, learn how to persuade, right, you're never gonna have to need to convince anyone anymore. And this is why I'm sharing this with you while I'm learning. The way I learn is, and how I internalize this stuff, is by speaking it out loud, so that no is undeniable that I am absorbing it as I'm speaking out loud. And that's what all of our kids can use. Because if you listen to something but nothing changes, then you have not learned anything. And I hope learning this today helps you become the obvious choice for whatever mission you want to lead, whatever cause you care about, to drive awareness to it, to drive support for it. And I hope you do that with just the calm, confident energy. And you'll find some of your biggest supporters are in this world, because they're out there. I used to think I was all alone until I get a comment here, a comment there, and I appreciate you all so much. And if you teach this to your kids, your students, your team, they're going to know how to walk into any room and walk out with that support. And that will make their journey so much less lonely. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for being part of the Affordable Housing Podcast. I've learned so much on this journey with you for the past 586 days. And I'm so grateful for all of you, for all your positive comments, words, being open to me learning about new things besides just underwriting a deal every single day. So thanks for sticking with me. I appreciate you so much. Have an have an amazing Wednesday, everybody. I hope you spend some quality time with your family and friends today, because That's what life is all about. Thank you so much for caring about affordable housing again, because without people like you, I'll never had the home I grew up in. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody. I'll see y'all tomorrow for day 587. Wow. Have a good one.